Oh my goodness, that really just happened? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel guys. It's your boy Sly Lancy, and for today's video guys, we are going to be doing the top 10 most shocking Sly Cooper moments. This video right here is something that literally came to me just a few days ago, and I thought it'd be very interesting to talk about, because I think we all know there's been plenty of crazy moments in the Sly Cooper franchise, and I want to talk about what I think are the top 10 craziest and most shocking to me, along with some honorable mentions as well. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready too. Let's get into it. Number 10. Murray finds his van, Sly 3. This was a crazy moment if you played the games in order. Unfortunately, I didn't have that opportunity to play the games in order, so I didn't get the full effect of it. But if you played the games in order, Murray finding his van in China was definitely a very shocking moment for fans. The fact that this man cried tears after losing his van in Canada from Sly 2 and then managed to find it in Sly 3 of all times was absolutely shocking to a lot of fans, and I know it was one of the biggest key contributors to people wanting to give Murray his van back. And this particular reason as to why Tearful Reunion still remains a top 10 favorite Sly Cooper mission of mine to this very day. Number 9. John Bassan steals the Clockwork parts from Sly 2. This was the moment that cemented John Bassan's place as one of the most memorable villains in the Sly Cooper franchise, and again, if I ever redo the top 10 Sly Cooper villains list, I will have John Bassan in that top 10 somewhere. But yeah, John Bassan gets underrated a lot in a lot of Sly Cooper fans' eyes, and I think it's just because he doesn't have like the bravado or evilness as someone like Clockwork or Nila or even General Sal. But John Bassan really proved his worth to the franchise by doing this particular moment. He outsmarted the Cooper gang, seeing through their disguises, being the first villain to see through their disguises, and then knocking them out and then taking them back to his hideout for interrogation. All the while they were knocked out, he got his guards to steal all of their Clockwork parts and then sold them to Arpeggio. And despite his grammar, which may come off as stereotypical, the man really is much smarter than any of us anticipated, and the fact that he pulled this off really was a OMG moment for the ages in this franchise. This moment truly was the definition of taking 2 steps forward just to go 3 steps back. All your hard work literally just went to waste, all because of a man who managed to outsmart you. Unreal. Number 8. General Sal breaks into the safe house and steals our thief-knife computer from Sly 3. John Bassan's break-in was really crazy, but it was nothing compared to this. Never have we had a villain figure out our operation as quickly as General Sal did. John Bassan, it took a couple of worlds to figure it out. General Sal literally figured it out by the second part of the whole entire mission. That was crazy to me. And I remember, and Sly 3 was my very first game in the franchise, so that I've ever played in the franchise. And when I first saw this moment, it was so crazy to me, and just seeing Bentleys' reaction to that afterwards was really crazy. My mouth was gaping when I saw this. That particular moment was enough to put General Sal in the top 5 greatest Sly Cooper villains alone, and then everything he did afterwards cemented him as a top 3 villain for me. Never in my life up until that point have I ever felt so violated by a villain in a video game. It was truly insane. Also, not to get too ahead of myself, but the fact that we have 2 and potentially more shocking moments coming from our Cold Alliance alone is enough to just show how incredibly designed and how much of a mind warp this entire chapter was. Number 7. Murray leaves the Cooper gang from Sly Comic issue number 2/Sly 3. Many diehard Sly Cooper fans probably saw this one coming. After being physically and mentally destroyed over the events of Sly 2, along with a couple of other events that happened in the early part of Sly Comic issue number 2, Murray's had enough and feels that everything that's bad happened to the gang recently is all his fault, and because of this, he decides to leave the gang in order to find himself once again. This moment was definitely crazy for a lot of fans that played the games from the get-go, because Murray has been together with Sly and Bentley for so long, since childhood. And aside from when, they all got separated briefly at one point, these three were basically inseparable. And the fact that a piece of them is leaving because of everything that's happened was absolutely heartbreaking and saddening, and I guarantee you some Sly fans even cried at it. And even though we all agree that Sly is without a doubt the true leader of the Cooper gang, Murray is definitely the heart and soul. The one who always, keeps the group in check whenever there's a huge problem with, like, if brawn or strength needs to be involved. Murray's always been that guy. So how the Cooper gang was going to operate without him going forward was going to be a true mind warp for fans. And not just, and excluding that too, we're talking about our best friend from the very first video game. Like, it was insane. Luckily, Murray came back to the gang after a couple of chapters, but the fact that this happened in the first place is still enough to leave a mark in the fans' minds forever. Number 6. Sly almost gets eaten alive by the monster from Sly 3. This particular moment is very graphic, depending on where you're at. Like, this moment you see at the very prologue of the game, where Sly gets trapped by the monster inside the monster's fist and looks like he's about to get eaten alive. But the moment that I think sticks out in a lot more fans' eyes is what happens when you're Carmelita at the very end of the game and you try to save Sly, but if Carmelita dies or gets killed or drowns or whatever, then there's an after scene that really, I think, scarred a lot of kids. Sly gets dropped into the mouth of the monster and gets chewed up and eaten alive. That was a very shocking moment when I saw it the first time, and I damn near cried when I saw it. Just like watching my favorite video game character get eaten alive like that was just insane, and it was definitely scarring too. Like, this is exactly the reason why I think a lot of fans had trouble with like the Sly in the 4th game, because like those dark moments are the moments that like just stick with you forever. There's also an honorable mention for this particular entry that I want to add in too, and it's the fact that there's an alternate intro to Sly 3, and it's like deep in the game files of this game, where apparently Sly is on the ground and beach of Cane Island, and he's literally near death. He's breathing heavy, breathing hard, and he looks like he's about to die in that instance, and then that's when we go through the flashback sequence. It's not as like shocking as seeing him get eaten alive like that, but it was still like something I had to point out there. Just seeing Sly so like near death like that. That's where the shocking part comes in. Number 5. Penelope is the Black Baron from Sly 3. This one was definitely trippy. This was a definitely trippy moment for me, because like, you obviously are working with Penelope throughout the entire chapter, and then you just see that this whole entire time, she was the one who's been trying to stop us from winning. And it's like, in a sense, it does make sense in a way, but then you also wonder, like, why is she also helping us too? And then trying to, stop us or prevent us from winning. Like, that's where it got so confusing. So you better bet that when we saw the reveal after the boss fight with her, which let me add this in real quick, it's one of the best boss fights in the entire franchise. But when we saw her as the Black Baron, it was really like a WTF moment in that entire series. Though when Penelope goes into an explanation about why she wore the Black Baron costume and why she disguised at them for so long, you kind of understand where she's coming from with that. It's definitely not the most shocking moment on this entire list, but it was definitely the most trippy one by far. Number 4. Panda King joins the Cooper gang from Sly 3. Oh man, this moment right here set the tone for how the rest of the Occult Alliance was gonna play out. Remember what I said earlier about how Occult Alliance had probably some of the most shocking moments, and that there may be more moments on this chapter? Well, this is that particular moment. Like, for many Sly fans, myself included, seeing one of Sly's most dangerous enemies join him in a quest for the Cooper Vault job, it's like it didn't make sense. It was so crazy. It was so crazy just to see that happen. Two mortal enemies coming together like this, but in exchange for something in return. Panda King needing his daughter back and Sly for the Cooper Vault job. But these two men, we're talking about these two men who ruined each other's lives forever. Panda King helping Clockwork, Sly's father, getting killed, and then Sly ruining the Panda King's life and reputation afterwards. So while we had other moments in this chapter like Murray's van and General Sal being an absolute terror, this moment right here in particular stands out among the rest in this entire chapter. Just seeing if whether or not these two can cooperate throughout the entire chapter, or they're just gonna flat out kill each other in this chapter. And even on replay value, this moment still shocks some fans to this very day. Number 3. Nila betrays us from Sly 2. This one I think a lot of Sly fans definitely saw coming. This moment right here was truly one of the biggest WTF moments in the entire franchise. Nila, at first in the beginning of the game, seemed like she was a good ally and even a love interest for Sly. But then, when Chapter 3 rolled around, everything changed completely. Near the end of Chapter 3, we have to take down Rajan, and Nila comes to help us like she has been the past earlier chapters. So, just when we think that she's about to help us and knock out Rajan and get the Clockwork Heart, Nila does the unthinkable and leaves us behind while Sly gets shocked and sent to the ground, and Murray has to go in and help Sly. This was a crazy moment, and Kevin Miller's voice acting in this scene also sold it very well too. Like, Nila, what were you doing? You were supposed to help us. And even Murray afterwards was like, Nila, help us. And then that's when Nila brought in Interpol to arrest us. What the heck was that? So her betraying us was bad enough as it is already. But then she betrays Carmelita as well and sells her out to Contessa, blackmailing her with a photo that was very much out of context. And with that information, Contessa arrests Sly, Murray, and Carmelita, and Nila is with her to take them away, all while Bentley watches in horror. Nila was someone that we thought we could literally trust, and for her to just throw our trust away like that, just to look out for herself, and so she could get the Clockwork parts herself, which we later find out later in the game that she's been in cahoots with Arpeggio the whole time, which was another WTF moment. Like Nila really shook everything up in Sly 2. And also, I'm gonna throw this honorable mention in this entry too, just to add to how crazy this moment was. Nila betrays Arpeggio as well and kills him just so she could get the Clockwork parts for herself and become Clockler. Like, oh my goodness. Like, we trusted this, and she just used our trust and got what she wanted instead. And while this particular moment with Nila very much stands out a lot, there's another moment with her that I will get to in a few brief minutes, but for now, we're just gonna move on to the second spot. But as of right now, Nila betraying us, number 3, was crazy. But there's another betrayal in this series that somehow managed to top Nila's betrayal and make fans even angrier than the last one. So which one is that one? Number 2. Penelope betrays us in Sly 4. Nila's betrayal was very shocking. Penelope's betrayal, however, broke the entire Sly community. I've never seen a betrayal literally divide an entire fan base the way Penelope's betrayal did. But for good reason too, because in Sly 3, Penelope was one of our closest allies, and it seemed like in Sly 4, they literally wanted Penelope to literally become the next Nila, so they literally made Penelope betray us, all because she wanted Bentley to realize his full potential without the Cooper gang. But the way she went about it was so wrong and so bad. She literally joined with La Paradox to erase Sly's entire history, just so Bentley could reach his full potential. Which in turn, in a way, makes the story a bit more complicated than it needs to be, because I feel like that would just erase Bentley's history as well, and Penelope and Bentley would have never met, and Sly would not, and because Sly would have never went to the orphanage. But I'm rambling a bit too much here right now. Yeah, Penelope's betrayal really broke the entire Sly community. Fans were absolutely livid, and I mean livid, about this betrayal, feeling that it was not in Penelope's character, and the very few fans that actually did like the Penelope's portrayal in Sly 4 got ostracized relentlessly about it. I also believe what firmly did not help this moment was that many fans felt that Sly 3 was the perfect ending to the series, and Sly 4 basically, retconning the perfect ending to the entire trilogy also made this moment even worse in hindsight. And plus the fact that after this game, nothing about Sly's came out since, which makes the game even more sour in fans' eyes, and this moment in particular more sour in fans' eyes as well. I'm telling you, this moment really shook everything up. Even when we get back at Penelope at the end of the chapter 2, it just feels like it's all for nothing, because we don't literally have a conclusion or satisfying conclusion to the story. For those that want a fan-edit version of how Sly ends, in my opinion, watch my video, my version of Sly 5. It should be, I'll put a tab in the video or link in the description for it. But yeah, so yeah, Penelope betraying us was definitely, in some ways, I do find it bigger than Nila's betrayal. Because Nila's betrayal made sense in terms of the story, but Penelope's betrayal felt like it was shock value, just for shock value reasons. And considering how heartbroken Bentley was after this moment and how the rest of the gang took it after they found out about it, this moment could have easily gotten #1 on this list, but there was one moment that stuck out in fans' mind and my own mind just as much as this moment. In fact, a little bit more in a way. And when I did the poll on Reddit, I think a lot of fans would agree with it too. But before we do that, we're going to do a recap of the top 10, and then we're going to do honorable mentions. Okay guys, before we get to the #1 spot, as always like we do in these top 10 videos, let's get to some honorable mentions. Carmelita lies about Sly's amnesia. The honest cop actually lies for the first time in her career as an officer. Sly Cooper is lost in Egypt. This particular moment isn't really overly shocking, but it's just the fact that there hasn't been any update about it since this moment, which is why I put it as an honorable mention. Carmelita's belly dance. Carmelita's belly dance. I mean, they seriously put this in a video game for Sly. Dr. M was in Connor Cooper's gang. This was a crazy moment for me too, actually. Just the idea that one of Sly's most deadliest enemies actually worked for his father. And lastly, Mugshot walking on his own feet in Sly 4. This more like the animated short. The animated short is when Mugshot's able to walk on his own feet, but still, it is a pretty crazy moment. Okay, and now we're down to the #1 spot, guys. And this particular moment, I would say, is the moment that changed the history of Sly forever. And this particular moment is Bentley's legs get crushed from Sly 2. Now, when I did the poll on the Reddit page for Sly Cooper, almost everybody agreed that Bentley's legs getting crushed was one of the craziest moments, if not the craziest moment in the entire franchise. We literally just defeated Clockwork, and we were getting ready to celebrate after getting the hate chip. And just when we thought everything was okay and we was gonna win, Clockwork closes the beak on Bentley, crushing his legs, crippling him for good. And Murray tries to save Bentley, but is not quick enough to do so, leaving Bentley completely paraplegic. And even though Clockwork gets destroyed for good once they smash the hate chip, this particular moment marked a defining moment in the entire Sly Cooper franchise that ended one of the darkest chapters in the entire Sly story. And I think it's safe to say that the gang changed forever after that particular moment for good, with Bentley being forced to live his life in a wheelchair and Murray having to leave the Cooper gang for a while to refine himself once again. And also with Sly still being forced to remember Clockwork's evil words, "Cooper, you will never be rid of me." And every time he looks at Bentley and Murray, it's gonna be those words that haunt Sly for the rest of his life. This is without a doubt the darkest moment in the entire franchise, and it's safe to say the gang still hasn't fully recovered from it, making it the easy pick for #1, and I think everybody on Reddit and YouTube agrees with me. And with that, guys, we are done with the top 10 most shocking Sly Cooper moments. I had a lot of fun making this video. This video topic literally just came to me literally a few days ago. So, you know, I hope you guys like this. What's the most shocking Sly Cooper moment in your guys' opinion? Let me know in the comment section down below. Plus, if you have any video suggestions on Sly Cooper or video suggestions that I should do going forward, just let me know in the comments section and I'll get to it as quick as I can. I'll also give you guys a shout out if you do. So thank you guys always for the love and support that you show in these videos every day. You know, I really appreciate it and it helps the channel greatly. So please, if you're new to the channel, like, sub, and share. It really helps the channel grow. And as always, guys, thank you so much. It's your boy Sly Lancy, and I'll catch you guys next time.